All right, great. Welcome to GSE Online Info Session. We're excited to have you join us. My name is Kelly Wilson. I direct the MED program. I've been with High Tech High for about 13 years as a teacher, a director, and now involved in the graduate school space. I'll be one of your facilitators this evening, as will Rob and Laura, so I'll let them go ahead and introduce themselves.
Hello everyone, I'm Rob Reardon. I'm a co-founder of High Tech High, and I'm the president of the High Tech High Grad School of Education. So I too am delighted to be here and eager to talk with you about our grad school and hear your questions.
Wonderful. Thanks. My name is Laura McBain, and I'm here at our graduate school. I run the Education Leadership Academy. I have been a teacher as well as a school director, and I work primarily in our graduate school, running academies and professional development for external teachers. So I'm really excited to share the work that we're doing in our programs. Thanks.
Great. And Laura, can you bring up the first slide of the PowerPoint? Okay, great. So tonight what we're going to do is give you a brief overview of the graduate school and talk a little bit about the programs. And then we're going to hear from students. So we have past students and current students that are either doing our MED with a concentration in school leadership or teacher leadership, or they're part of our Education Leadership Academy, which is a hybrid online program that engages teams of educators from around the country and world that are working on school change efforts at their sites. Rob's going to kick us off with a little bit of history on how the K-12 schools got started, how that grew into our GSE, and what's really core in our approach to graduate education.
Great, thanks, Kelly. We started High Tech High in the year 2000. And that was the outgrowth of some work that Larry Rosenstock and I had done in Cambridge, Massachusetts. That's the only public high school there. And then some later work that we did in a national project sponsored by the Department of Ed in Washington called the New Urban High School, where we were trying to find 6 inner city schools. We found them, 6 inner city schools that were doing school work types of reform, meaning hands-on work and internships in the community as a lever for whole school change. As we worked with those 6 schools, we developed some design principles from them. They were very different schools. Some were small, community-based schools. Others were large, Chicago Oak, a very large tech high school, and so forth. But they shared certain design principles as they were trying to connect students with the world beyond school and to prepare them for college and career. So around that time, we were trying to figure out where we were headed next. And one of the schools that we selected was in San Diego, and the Business Roundtable in San Diego at that time was deciding that they needed to start a school and develop local capacity. And Larry, my partner in crime, went to them and said, we think we know the kind of school that you guys might be interested in. So that was our opportunity to really develop from the ground up the kind of school that we were, that had been dreaming about. Essentially, High Tech High is, we wanted to end 2 things that are omnipresent in schools around the country. One is social classification, and the other is teacher isolation. So we built a school that was where students are integrated. It's a lottery admission school. It runs on the same per pupil allotment that any other school in California gets, and the classes are totally untracked. So it's integrated in that way. We've integrated the curriculum to try to cross subject matter areas and bring them together through projects. We wanted to integrate school with the world, beyond school, and we wanted to, in effect, integrate the K-12 world with the graduate school, with the adult learning world in education. That kind of came later. We realized that we were hiring teachers who really bought into project-based learning, which was our engine of integration, and but who may never have experienced project-based learning in their own lives as students in high schools. And so we really needed to pay attention to the adult learning in our environment, and we set up the schedule so that teachers would come to school, and they still do, an hour each day before the kids arrive. Kinds of conversations about curriculum, kits that they share, and then we realized that we needed to formalize that, and we needed to honor that kind of process in training new teachers, rather than having them go to night school and pay money to take courses to learn to teach in ways that we didn't want them to be teaching. So we got approval to do a certification program in 2004, and then in 2007 we opened a graduate school. And basically the idea of the graduate school is that we want to prepare teachers, educators to lead and to build culture in schools that are in the process of transformation or that are newly forming, around the kinds of design principles and particularly the kinds of equity mission that we're engaged in. So we have structured the school. That's how we started. We're interested in helping educators develop capacity to lead schools of the kind that we imagine, schools where the integrations that I've spoken about happen. So I'll leave off there as in terms of our origins and turn it over to Kelly to talk a little bit about how it is structured.
Okay, great. Thank you, Rob. So we have a few outcomes for whatever program that you're in, the MED program or in our Education Leadership Academy, but that is to practice thoughtful inquiry and reflection. So we really build from the reason why you've come to High Tech High to spend time learning in this community. So your own personal learning plan, your own passions, your own questions, how you would like to develop and grow as an educator and leader, those drive your learning throughout the program, whether that be the master's project or the course products that you do that culminate each course. But the idea is that you are posing questions, you're digging deeply into the literature and the theory and seeing the intersection between practice as you are making change in your study, making change in your classroom, and that you have a supportive network of adults through your cohort, through your advisor, through your GSE instructors that are supporting you in taking risks, trying things out, and reflecting on your practice. The second is design equitable and engaging learning environments. So as Rob spoke about in the High Tech High schools, really they were opened as an experiment in social class integration. And so issues of equity and creating schools that have more equitable outcomes, that's really at the heart of our passion as educators and looking at how pedagogy intersects with issues of equity. So exploring what deeper learning looks like in schools, how through project-based learning the learning can be authentic for our students, it can be meaningful beyond the four classroom walls, it can connect to their own backgrounds and experiences and also to the community beyond school. And so constantly throughout the program we're thinking about as classroom teachers, as school leaders, and all the different roles that we for schools, how can we support the creation of learning environments that are both engaging and equitable for our students. And the third is leadership for school change, and so that we're constantly in the process of reflecting on our practice, reflecting on what's happening in our schools, and working together with colleagues, with students, with parents to make our schools even better. I don't know if I can go to the next slide, or Laura, you can. Do you mind flipping to the next? Oh, it's down here at the bottom. All right, I got it. Thank you, Laura. So we have an MED program. There are two concentrations, one in teacher leadership and one in school leadership. Over 50% of the course team happens together regardless of the concentration you apply for. So you're probably wondering which is the better fit for me. The teacher leadership program is really for experienced educators, typically who are in the classroom and want to deepen their teaching practice and also develop as teacher leaders in their school settings. So after doing the teacher leadership program, they often continue in the classroom or take on new leadership roles within their site, or go on to help consult schools and do curriculum development for schools, coaching for schools. But those that enter the teacher leadership concentration at this point are not generally interested in becoming a school administrator. The school leadership concentration is also for experienced educators who have classroom experience and often other leadership experience, some as school leaders, some as coaches, some as department heads, but they've already begun to take on leadership at their schools, and they're thinking about making that transition into either opening a school or moving into a dean, a vice principal, a principal, director position, and really digging into school administration. So some of the shared course taking is the launch of the year. We get together in August and we have a course, Core Values and Foundations, that runs alongside the High Tech High New Teacher Odyssey, which is when we bring in all teachers that are new to High Tech High, and we start off with a project slice, so we're really experiencing PBL as learners and reflecting on that experience. We take teachers through the project design process. They begin to work on their syllabi. They meet with students. Veteran teachers have their projects tuned, start their digital portfolios, and then reflect at their learning at the end of the 7-day experience. We have a course that runs alongside that, and that launches the program with everyone in the MED. And then they go on to take equity, diversity, and design principles, leadership and design for deeper learning, leadership for school change. All of those courses happen together regardless of the concentration. If you're in the teacher leadership concentration, the courses then continue on inclusive classrooms, authentic assessment, going deeper into classroom practice, and for school leadership, moving on to classes in school design, school law, school finance, thinking more at a systems level about how you support the running of a school. In both concentrations and in the MED program, I say at the heart, we want the experience to be personalized, to be authentic, and to be transformative, so that after spending a year embedded in our schools doing the 1-year residency for school leadership, or either doing the 2-year part-time program or the 1-year residency for teacher leadership, your practice has changed, your thinking has changed about education, pedagogy, equity, leadership, and that you feel transformed personally as well. So a lot of this is about us looking inward and reflecting on our own beliefs and being open to re-examining those and thinking differently as we learn and support each other throughout the program. So I'm going to hand this over to Laura, who directs the Education Leadership Academy, which is the online hybrid program.
Great, thanks, Kelly. You'll see our last, I'm just going to show the slide for just 1 second, and then I'll transfer back to my face. But yeah, I run the Education Leadership Academy, and that really evolved out of our hope to kind of disseminate our efforts through our graduate school to help other schools. We see part of our mission is not simply to develop our own teachers, but also assist and promote the work of deeper learning, equity, and some of our design principles that Rob and Kelly mentioned with other schools. And so we developed a 1-year, what we call Education Leadership Academy program to help educators become change agents in their school. Wes, you'll hear from today, is in the academy this year, and he is at a school in Chicago. And part of the design of this work is really to help educators who are not living in San Diego to basically think about themselves and think about how does equity, deeper learning, and change leadership is evolving in their own schools. So throughout the way the academy is structured is that we actually invite teams from schools. We found that the team approach is a much more powerful way of making change in schools, and so we invite teams of educators from the same school to come to High Tech High 3 times per year and engage in what we call 3-day residencies that ask them to examine classroom practices, engage in workshops, conduct consultancies, and also work with High Tech High people in the midst of doing work. And then the rest of their work is actually online. Wes himself has been in what we call Google Hangout with High Tech High people online, just like this. We also have an online forum, because one of the challenges that we would love to help educators think about is how do we put research that people are producing in the field, whether it's craft knowledge or journal research, how might they actually put this work to practice? So currently our students basically do a selection of readings each month, and they respond to them in our online forum, and they receive feedback from each other in the program. So right now, Wes is receiving feedback from people from Canada, from Chile, from New York about the projects that are coming up, because that essentially, although the schools are different, the mission often is the same, is how are they going to transform their school, how are they all reflecting on their practice, and how are they becoming educators that want to really evolve. And so they're really sharing their wonderings, their ideas, and their possible projects with one another in a safe online forum, and then receiving feedback from High Tech High. So as I said, they come 3 times per year to High Tech High. They engage in workshops. We also have brought in some guest faculty members to teach that as well. So this coming January, we'll have guest faculty members that include Ron Berger, Tony Wagner, Ken Kay, Camille Farrington has come, as well as David Stevens, and they help our teams really even more deeply about their work. Since they're out in different fields, they're bringing their work and their research to the work that my students are doing in the program. And so that program lasts the whole year. At the end of the year, the goal is that each team will complete a group project with some type of individual component, and then they will share their work with teams. Where did they start? What was their process of change? Where are they now? What are their next steps? And they'll present to High Tech High faculty members, school leadership fellows like Juliet here, who are thinking about similar questions and doing a presentation of learning of where they think their school is going to go. So our hope is really for the Academy to build what we call the press, where educators are sharing their work with each other and really thinking deeply about how they're going to change and transform their practice as well as their school.
All right, wonderful. Thank you, Laura. Looking at different options, obviously the Education Leadership Academy is a great fit for anyone who is not able to relocate back to San Diego. Let me just go back one more thing. Sorry, Laura. Yeah, if you just want to keep on the first slide, that is not able to relocate back to or into San Diego, they can join that from anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world. The MED program, there's a couple options. If you want to continue working and you're in San Diego, the teacher leadership concentration is offered as a 2-year part-time program while you're working, or you can do a 1-year residency where you're a full-time student embedded in the high-tech high schools. And often the teacher leadership students will be partnered with a critical friend that's a teacher, a veteran teacher, very experienced with project-based learning in their classrooms, and do a lot of teaching throughout the year and also take on leadership in the school. The school leadership concentration is only offered as a 1-year residency for full-time students. And you are apprenticed to a critical friend director, one of the 12 directors of our elementary, middle, and high schools, and learning to lead through apprenticeship. So it begins in the year with a lot of observation and shadowing, and as the year goes on, through the projects you develop in your courses and through your master's project and other aspects of your residency, you're really learning to lead through practice. So developing development, looking at the budget with your director, coaching teachers, helping to support student issues. It's a very hands-on, embedded approach. Great. Laura, do you mind going to the next slide? Great. So just to let you know about fellowship opportunities, we do have GSE fellowships that significantly reduce the cost of tuition, about half. It's advertised at $25,000, but through fellowships, we bring that down to almost half of what's advertised, and that's really our efforts as we're growing the graduate school to make it accessible to a broader audience. That will likely change in future years. Once we reach full accreditation, we're about 8 years into our process. We've received candidacy status. We can offer, which is really exciting because this year was the first year that through Title IV funding we could offer student loans to our students. Our next visit is in March. Will hopefully be our last before we are fully accredited. So if that visit if we need to do some more work after that visit, we could have one follow-up, but we're very close to final accreditation. We have full diversity fellowship, so when you apply, let us know in your cover letter if you would like to be considered for that fellowship and why. But we're really looking to enrich the diversity of our cohorts in many different ways. So diversity can include many different definitions. So think about what you bring to the program and how it would enrich the cohort based on your background and your experience. And it's something that we will consider. But those are full tuition fellowships. Full school leadership fellowships. This is through a grant through the Walton Family Foundation. So next year, we are able to bring in 12 fellows to do the MED and the school leadership concentration, which is the one-year full-time program where you're apprenticed to a school leader. And that is a full tuition fellowship with a partial living stipend, $2,000 per month, and support after graduation. So when our fellows this year, we have 12, leave and they're leaving schools next year, we have money to keep them connected online, to share dilemmas in their leadership practice, to share best practices, and actually bring them back together in San Diego a few times during the year to connect with each other, and also to conduct a study where we measure the impact of our program on their work. And then finally, teacher leadership resident fellowships. We want to encourage more people to do the teacher leadership residency where you're here 1 year full-time embedded in our schools. That unfortunately is not covered by the Walton grant, so it's not a full tuition fellowship, but we do reduce the tuition to help make it more possible for people to come here and spend a year and take a year away from their other jobs and really be embedded in the model and learning while they're working within High-Tech High. And next, we're going to hear from students. So, Laura, if you don't mind flipping to the next slide. And Tara, maybe you can start us off. Tara, oops, I think we just lost it, Laura. Laura, there you go. Thank you.
Just a little bit of delay.
Pardon? All right. So Tara is an alumni from the program, and she's actually a critical friend now to an MED student that's a current student in the teacher leadership concentration and still involved in supporting the program, which is fantastic. And we just want to hear, why did you choose the GSE? What stands out to you about your experience, and how has your experience most influenced your current practice, and anything else that you would love for prospective applicants to know about your experience?
Okay, hi. I was teaching at High-Tech Elementary, started the school, opened it up with other teachers, I guess 4 years ago. And in that first year, doing project-based learning and trying to just explore, a lot of kind of progressive ideas in our education, I found that I was lacking a group of people to have conversations with about different aspects of my education, of teaching. And so I was looking for a group of people who were also interested in really pushing each other and having conversations about how to improve areas of our teaching. And so that's initially how the grad school kind of intrigued me, and then learning about the fact that it was very applicable, that the work I would be doing in the grad school was really going to be applied to stuff I could do in my classroom. And then secondly, the research component that I was going to be pushed to, taught how to, encouraged to do research that could influence people outside of my own classroom as well as help me understand my practice better, was really interesting to me. And so I guess that all those things kind of brought me to the grad program. In the program, I found all of those things. Certainly a lot of great conversations with fellow colleagues and professors, and just exposure to a lot of things. But at the same time, I think as teachers we frequently have exposure to a lot of great ideas, but this really helped me kind of focus on certain aspects of my practice, and and really remain kind of focused on it for a while through like a certain class. So say equity became kind of a focus for a little while, and so I would really look at my classroom through a lens, an equity lens, and then eventually move on to maybe projects and then maybe assessment, and that really helped me hone various aspects of my teaching, as well as have a group of people who were interested in talking about it and pushing me to explore new ways of doing things in my classroom. It was fantastic in that respect. And then the research piece that I was guided through for 2 years in the program, I did the part-time, obviously, so I was teaching 5th grade at High Tech Elementary at the time. The research was invaluable to me, not necessarily because what I researched was so extraordinary, but I think just the going through the motions of really exploring one aspect that I chose was important to me in my classroom, and methodically trying to make a change, and then looking at the data and trying to really make an improvement in my teaching, and then bringing it to others was very enlightening to me as a teacher, because for years I've been teaching for now 10 years, and I've been, you know, kind of trying to make small changes, but not really focused on how I can spread those changes or help others see what I'm seeing, or the notion of teacher leadership kind of developed for me from being just simply, oh, stand up and run a professional development, to really just collaborating with others in a way that brings about better teaching practice. So I'm kind of rambling, but I can speak on and on and on about the program because it was fantastic. It was the best decision I made, and it was my 3rd master's degree, so it was kind of silly that I would go and get another master's degree, but it was purely because I knew that it was going to offer me something really different, and it definitely changed my a lot of kind of how I look at teaching and the important pieces that I focus on, the components of my practice. I think that's it.
Wonderful. Thank you for joining us, Tara. And if you can stick around for Q&A, there's going to be lots of time to ask questions of all of our students. And Tara's actually had a new little baby boy, so a special thanks for, I'm sure he's right around you right now. Thanks for being able to be a part of this. Juliet is going to go next, if that's okay, and she is a school leadership fellow, and she's at High Tech Middle Chula Vista, and she came to us from DC this year. Oh, and you know what, Juliet? We cannot hear you. Unfortunately, there might be a sound issue. Is there something to change on your computer?
Unmute your phone there, Juliet, your microphone.
Okay. Okay, try again, and we'll see if we can hear you now. Okay. Juliet, maybe just try speaking, and Laura, should it work now?
I think it's working.
Oh, there we go. We can hear you.
Oh, yay, technology. Sorry about that. Good afternoon, everybody. As Kelly said, my name's Juliet. I'm here at High Tech Middle Chula Vista, and in the grad school this year from Washington, D.C. I had been working in charter schools in D.C. and Boston for the past 8 years. And I was thinking that I really was looking for an opportunity to do some learning and grow as a leader. I've been the director of curriculum for a while at a charter school in DC. But as I was thinking about different opportunities, different grad school programs, I realized I really wanted to stay connected to schools and students, and that was really important to me, that I sort of ground whatever learning I'm doing in the field. I also really wanted to go to a place that would challenge my thinking and help me push my practice to be more progressive. And in the High Tech High Graduate School, I found both of those things. So I found a program that helped me stay connected to kids so much that they're asking to come into the office right now and find out what we're doing, as well as really an amazing academic setting that pushed my thinking as a practitioner. And I think what stands out to me the most about this program so far is the amazing group of colleagues and mentors that I have had the great opportunity to work with and help push my thinking. So both my colleagues that are the other school leadership residents that I've really enjoyed working with and getting to know. My critical friend director has been an amazing mentor, and I've learned so much already, and it's only November. And then all the GSE faculty members have really helped me grow and explore new ideas and think about, for example, Tara was talking a little bit about equity. And in our equity course, I realized how narrow my definition of equity had been prior to that course and expanding that. And so that was really valuable. And I think the way that it's most influenced my current practice is it's just really brought me into a continuously reflective stance. So thinking about each time I do something, how can I learn from this? How can I grow from this experience? How can I solicit feedback from others, both after that experience, and then also how can I gather feedback from colleagues before I launch into something? And I know that that is a part of my practice that really will stick with me whatever I go on and do in the future.
Wonderful. Thank you, Julia. And feel free to respond to the kids if you need to step out for a second. I know they're curious what we're doing sometimes. Okay, great. And we have Wes that's joining us next. And Wes can tell us a little bit more about our partnership with his school in Chicago and how he came to be part of the Education Leadership Academy. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Wes Davidson. I'm at Chicago Tech Academy High School. And we have undergone a lot of changes in Chicago with our particular school. So we went through a leadership change going into this year, and one of the big benefits of that leadership change was working really closely with High Tech High to move into project-based learning, but also refocus us as a school, because we're in a spot in Chicago where there's a lot of outside pressures about assessments, and we wanted to balance that out with really focusing on what was important for our students. As part of that, now that we have that partnership with the Education Leadership Academy, has these teams. So I'm one of 5 at my school, and it was just immediately something I wanted to get involved with when the opportunity came my way, because I think we're at a perfect spot as a school, as we're refocusing, as we're jumping headfirst into project-based learning, to really want to make sure that we're doing it the right way, and also know that we get the kind of support we need so that we don't just jump to the this is working or it's not working kind of simplified approach. My experience so far, so as was mentioned before, 3 times a year I go out to San Diego to High Tech High. So we were out in October. We'll be out again in January. So already just from that October experience and moving into some of the online experiences in November, what stands out to me is just the opportunity to work with High Tech High, to work with teachers from different countries, from different schools, and to look at the experiences we're going through, how they're similar, how they're a little different. And so that's really influenced my practice in a way of looking at with a little more focus. And this has been mentioned before, but it's taking focus, because it's so easy in education to look at so many different things at once and to jump around from one thing to another. And so for us as leaders for the school to focus as far as data collection, as far as really analyzing the data, so that we do the best thing we can for our students. And so I'm really glad I'm part of this program.
Wonderful. Thank you, Wes. And our partnership with Chicago is a little, goes even beyond the Education Leadership Academy, where we are sending folks out to spend time at the school as well and do some professional development and support at the school site. So there are kind of other ways to get involved with the GSE beyond the programs that we mentioned. But I think now's a good time to turn it over to questions. So we have our students here still. I think Rob is still there. I don't know. He has a little blue head. I'm not sure what that means. But Laura and I are here. So if Laura, do you want to share a little bit more how they can submit questions so that we can dig a little deeper together?
Mm-hmm. So viewers who are watching now, we have a number of people watching. You feel free to post a question on the DL, the Deeper Learning High-Tech High Graduate School Google Hangout site, and we can look at those questions. But I think I will pose a question that came up for before the next question. I'll just pose it because I know other people had asked this question. Is for folks who are here in residency, what does the day-to-day look like? That was a question that came up last time. What does day-to-day look like? And maybe Juliet and Tara, what does it mean to, maybe we'll start with Juliet, what does it mean to be a resident? What does your day look like? And then I would love to turn it over to Wes about kind of the day-to-day of the ELA, but maybe start with that Juliet question, and then we'll jump from there.
Sure. So the day-to-day looks like a combination of leadership activities, both ones that I do independently and then also shadowing my critical friend director, as well as GSE classes that are structured throughout the day. And there's a lot of activities related to those classes that also are things that happen on a day-to-day basis for us. So as a concrete example, today I spent the morning doing classroom walkthroughs with my critical friend director to some of the key classrooms that we wanted to get into and just think about as we're thinking about the PD arc of the school. Then this afternoon I led a PD session on group work and equity that is a continuation of our equity class, a PD arc that we've been doing. So I co-led that actually with a teacher at our school that's in the teacher leadership program. And as our last part, we often have classes in the evenings so that we can sort of synthesize all the learning that happens during the day, reflect on all that learning that happens during the day, and really sort of view that through the lens of different, more theory that helps us understand our practice.
Great. Thanks, Juliet. Another question that just came, Ida is talking about the Education Leadership Academy, and her question is about does the school need to be an affiliate of High-Tech High in order to participate in the academy? And no, that's exactly the intent of the academy, is to have schools who are not High-Tech High schools, but who are primarily working in their own setting, but really want to be connected with High-Tech High and have some type of partnership with us and really have an extended relationship with us. So really we are seeking people who are not High-Tech High schools and really helping them think about what does it mean for them. And I see another question about a critical friend that maybe Rob would like to talk about, or Juliet or Tara, about what does it mean to be a critical friend?
I was just was wondering whether some of our listeners might be wondering what a critical friend director is. So I thought maybe Juliet, you can say a word about that.
Sure. So each of the school leadership residents are paired up with a director who is sort of the equivalent of what at other schools might be called a principal. So each school has a director, and school leadership residents are paired with them, and so we embed with that leader in our schools. So a lot of our days, most of our time is spent with our critical friend director, whom we shadow, get feedback from on our leadership activities, and just have a really mentor-mentee relationship with throughout our time as residents.
Great. And then maybe, Wes, do you want to talk about the day-to-day, especially for Ida who's thinking about the academy, of what the day-to-day looked like for you when you were on site in October and what you kind of did in those experiences?
Yeah, definitely. So when we were out there in October, we had we had classes during the day. And part of those classes were bringing people like Camille Farrington and some other experts to talk on the issues. But there was also a lot of chance for collaboration with the other teacher teams from other schools. As part of our experience in October, we also created a personal learning plan, which was nice for us because each of us as individuals has a personal learning plan, but we also developed one as a team. And so it's been something that's guided since then, doing Google Hangouts with our critical friend and really trying to focus in on what do you want to accomplish with that. So for instance, with our school, we've added a lot of the collaboration that Rob talked about earlier. And so it's nice for us to look and say, is the way we're approaching it really working. But we've realized through those conversations and the ongoing emails that we really need to focus in a lot on it. So it's been nice to take the experience of those other schools, those connections we've made, and then to also be able to talk to a critical friend, get a lot of feedback from High Tech High.
Great, thanks. Thank you, Wes. And I think maybe we have time for one more question. We have a couple of different viewers that are watching, but one of the questions that I know comes up is speaking about the deadlines and when we're looking for people to enroll. So Kelly, do you want to talk a little bit about the priority deadline, and I can speak a little bit about the deadline for the Academy?
Yeah, no problem. We have, for the MED program, we have, and I'm forgetting the deadline offhand, but it's mid-January. It's on, if you go to the High Tech High GSE website and go to apply, it's there. And it's not a hard and fast deadline. It's a priority deadline where at that point we look at all the applications that we've received and we initiate the interview process. So faculty review the applications, we set up interviews. If those interviews go well with GSE faculty and with current students, then the next step is to, for residents, to have conversation with directors. So we begin to think about fit. The residents bring so much to our schools and offer so much in regards to leadership and support for this school that we really want to find a good fit and make sure that we're on board as a GSE with bringing someone on, and we also have director support for bringing someone onto the program. And then we make the decisions by late March to early April. And then in the spring are really supporting people and thinking about how to relocate to San Diego, think about what they need as far as student loans and how to support a transition here so they are ready to go the first week of August.
Great. And then for the Academy program, we kind of also have a rolling admissions process as well, but we are looking for teams, and it's really important, as Wes said, to have the support of the principal on board and also have the principal kind of think about what does that team consist of. I have found that it is helpful to kind of think a little bit before the school year. Now, also, we have a large number of international teams as well, so their school year looks slightly different sometimes than our academic school year, and that's okay. But we do kind of run our Academy based on the U.S. School calendar, which means we start really in October and end in May, and that somewhat is different than other schools' calendars, particularly in Australia or India, or different places. But we definitely would love to have folks basically apply sometime before August, because it's important for us to basically develop the program based on the needs of the students that are coming into the program. I adjust our readings every month based on the readings and the responses that our students are bringing to the table, and really are trying to be responsive of the people that are in the program. So it's helpful to have the Academy signed up before them so I can really start to tailor the experience based on the teams that are happening. I do have another question that's coming in that's from someone else, and they are asking about, Bianca is asking about, Bianca Alvarado. I have one more question. She said, how many years of teaching experience do you need to be in the program? She will just be finishing her credential in June, but she's interested in either the school leadership or the teacher leadership fellowship or the program. How many teaching years of experience do you might need for these programs?
Okay, that's a great question. When you look through the application materials, we recommend that you have 3 years of prior experience teaching and or working in schools. That's not a hard and fast requirement. I think we have had a couple people join us that have spent 2 years in schools or that have worked in other organizations that work with youth and partner with schools like YMCA. So it's really a case-by-case basis. But if you wanted to reach out to us at the GSE and have a conversation, we could support you in thinking through whether this is a good time to apply or getting more experience and waiting a few years.
I think what would be fair to say, Kelly, I'm wrong, the average length of experience for our students over the years has been somewhere around 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Thanks, Rob. And so I think that's really our kind of last bit of questions this evening. I just want to share if there's anything else anyone else wants to give an opportunity to share. See if anyone has anything else there about their work in the GSE before we close out for the evening. Kelly?
Okay, great. Well, thank you for joining us. We are available for questions if you begin the application process and you're not sure about things, please do reach out to us. We also do student-led tours of our schools. If you haven't been to High Tech High, we'd love for you to come visit. You're welcome to join and observe a GSE class. They're happening multiple times throughout the week, so just let us know when you'd like them, and we can connect you with our schools, with our GSE classes, and also current students to pick their brains. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you especially to our students and alumni for being part of the conversation tonight.
Thank you all, and feel free to email us and find us on Google, and we'll send this out. Thank you so much. Okay.